let's jump into things. So, we are starting to see some progress in terms of digitization of the banking sector. It was reported by Cornerstone Research Advisors that 66% of US bank accounts opened in 2020 were done so digitally. This shouldn't be a surprise, because of the effects of the pandemic. But obviously, the impact of mobile wallets has been now is very clearly seen globally, with more wallet transactions done than via cash or card combined today. How is digital customer acquisition changing the distribution economics of the banking sector?
Yeah, I think first of all, I would like to start from China market, which I can see and feel, I can observe, right? So in China, financial industry actually has been pushed by tech giant, right? Big tech company and some digital pure players as well. From my personal observation is like some big bank, they do digital transformation more quickly. So they have already started to diversify their customer acquisition, channels, right? They're using, digital channel as well. In China, also launch, central bank digital currency as well, right? And those kind of CBDC actually it's most of the player is the big bank and banking industry. So this also push the bank to knows what is the digital currency wallet, right? And they have to know that how to using such kind of tool to acquire new customer. So of course, most of the big bank, they start from cross-selling existing customer and extend to their friend, relatives, and such kind of things. So this is what I can see in in Chinese market. In the lending, obviously the digital channel is more important, right? And many digital players, they also join the customer acquisition and also offer their channel, offer their traffic to cooperate with the banking, conventional banking, to using that kind of channel to acquire their lending or even credit card customer, such kind of things. So I think the customer acquisition is more digital and more integrated, between the digital and conventional physical channel in China. And for example, they also have using live streaming to have partnership with something like TikTok. In China, we call it Douyin, right? And when I talk to other country like Southern Asia, like Singapore, Thailand, and Philippines, Indonesia, I think the digital acquisition is become more and more popular from banks' perception. Of course, the digital banking pure player, their first day is using a digital channel to do that. But I think obviously we can see that the trend is integrate, digital and physical as well. And from China's point of view, to getting new customer, to bring up new traffic, only pure digital, it's become more and more expensive today. So we can foresee that, physical channel, how to balancing the physical channel and digital channel become a major, very, very important, job to the conventional banking. And they also, learn how to optimize, how to, put the physical channel more efficiency. Okay, like using, data, using digital way, such kind of things. Okay, yeah, this is, what our observation. Yes.
No, I understand. I mean, I do think the economics are becoming sort of more demanding because digital has worked. But interesting you say digital is becoming more expensive, so balance is required. That's a good observation. I appreciate that. Now, of course, you're coming to us from Shenzhen, yes, home of one of the most successful challenger banks or neo banks in the world, namely WeBank, yeah, with 320 million customers, yeah, in just 8 years. Very impressive. Yeah. Of course, we have, Ant's MyBank as well. Along we have players like Revolut in Europe. We have Nubank in Latin America. What these players have demonstrated consistently is obviously low cost of acquisition, like we're talking about, but also very strong operational efficiency, so better cash efficiency than traditional players. Now, we've seen attempts to replicate this from the traditional banking space. DBS Bank in Singapore launching DigiBank in India, JP Morgan launching Chase in the UK, and of course, there's been pressure on the banks in China to become more digital. But at the same time, we've seen some failures. JP Morgan launched Fin in the US, that failed, and RBS, NatWest, tried to launch Bo in the UK, and that failed. So in your assessment, what makes a digital pure play model successful versus not in the examples that we've seen emerging? What's the secret to success?
I think, WeBank is just close to us, right? So we can, see it very closely. And their success just because they are early adopted, right? At that time, they also enjoy the traffic from WeChat and Tencent, and my bank is rely on the Alibaba, right? So it got to be in the early stage. So in that time, even their technology is it's advanced compared with conventional banking sector. So they're using very efficient way to run the bank. They're using very low cost infrastructure. On that time, they're using conventional like x86, such kind of infrastructure and open source software to run the banking, and they are pretty successful. What I can see, so far when I have conference with many outside bank, for example, in Thailand, in Philippines, even in Indonesia, I think I don't see any pure players so success like WeBank.
Now, in terms of technology in the organization, KT, we've seen, from 20 years ago, we used to have like the head of internet, right? Or, head of internet banking in a bank. Then we had, then we've introduced a CTO role. We've had a chief digital officer, maybe chief mobile officer. But if you look at the leading tech companies like Ant Group or, Alibaba, or if you look at the Western, tech players, Facebook, Alphabet, Google, Apple, the head of digital is actually the CEO. They don't really have a head of digital. They might have various technology experts. But for the banking space, when do you think it will be that we will have the CEO as the true head of digital, just as we see in technology companies? Or is that not really in the DNA of banks?
I think this question is very interesting. Actually, I never think about such kind of angle to to discuss the digital transformation anyway. But I think first of all, one thing very interesting.
Well, is it important? I mean, that's a question, exactly. I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. The one who lead the bank, if they don't have digital, sort of vision or sense of feeling, of course, it's very difficult to lead the bank to to transform to the digital operation of the banking, right? So I think there is one thing very interesting in. I start from talking about China first. What I observed, early last year, CBRC. I think the regulator from China, they published a guideline to asking the bank in China have to do digital transformation, and they mentioned about you have to start from the corporate governance. That means the board, chairman, the president have to do strategic thinking about to perform the digital transformation.
Top down, right?
Exactly. This guideline, first of all, they mentioned about this chapter, and they're asking the board have to have a plan, how to invest in digital transformation and how to build the organization. So usually the the president of the bank have to be have to chair the digital transformation, project or, committee, such kind of things. So this year, it's very interesting. We see many banks, they start to, organize such kind of project teams, start to do that, right? So, and within this guideline, they also point out that, the bank have to, enough budget, right? For 3 to 5 years to put investment in technology, and also have to recruiting digital capable people, resources, and then you have to think about how to deal with the digital transformation, because in China the big tech already give lots of pressure to the financial industry, right? The trend is obviously very clear, especially during pandemic, right? So after pandemic, probably the bank will come back to the market change so much, right? Yeah. So they may come back to optimize their business, because they have to tuning their business model to fit the changing of post pandemic. So I still believe this is getting more and more digital DNA of the banking industry. Okay.
So let me ask you, for your experience here, KT, you know a lot of bankers, used to be in the banking space yourself. If you were a CEO of a world leading top 100 bank today, how would you be preparing yourself and the bank for the emergence of artificial intelligence?
Well, this is very interesting, right? Especially recently, the ChatGPT becomes so popular, right?
Of course.
I think using chatbot, it's not unusual in the banking industry, because especially you offer the app. Once you create the app application, you have to offer the customer advice, such kind of things. So you need to create a chat platform to let your banker to chat with the customer, right? ChatGPT is a very what I can say is really significant different stage to the technology industry, because it's become a kind of wave to let most of the banking executives understand or aware the AI can do such kind of things. So I think my experience is AI, it's the trend. Before the bank all use it, right? Not just chat, but also biometrics, right? Voice to text, text to voice, picture, live streaming banking. You need to leverage a lot of AI features, or even when we do the marketing optimization. Usually we conventionally is using machine learning, but later on we're using graph database and AI. Especially another thing is AML, right? So the difference is like ChatGPT, such kind of large scale of chatbot, it's quite unusual. That proves the technology can do such kind of big things. So how to make the organization more AI oriented, this is it's quite interesting. Usually I encourage and give the budget to do that, and and I have been invest AI training platform which shared by whole bank on that time, right? It's cheaper, and financial industry, my experience is in many vertical application already can using AI. We probably do not need such kind of large scale like ChatGPT can answer any question, any language, which is, we don't need to such kind
we
of
could
label.
train it in the banking customer support domain.
Exactly. Even in the different applications, for example, for the lending due diligence, yeah, you can chat the bot. You train the bot, chatbot to just only handle such kind of things. So, yeah, I think this is very important, and definitely the organization have to learn how to use it.
So how would you get started? Is it, if you were advising a CEO?
Yeah, usually I would say that start from some small application, right? And vertical application and start from the outbound only, because outbound is more like, bank can define the application more clear.
That's good. Good answer. Thank you. So looking out over the next 5 years with all of these changes with AI and more digital and so forth, how do you think the organization structure is going to evolve?
Yeah, I think digital transformation is, quite a long run. It's not just overnight or 1 year projects. So definitely it's going to hit your organization. For example, if you want to put all the product, all the channel services to serve all the retail customer, that means the whole organization have to be very good on the collaboration, right? Usually I give the example, say, hey, the mobile front page, who is going to in charge of this homepage, right? So in the business side, got to have someone to do that, right? So, it will force the organization have to, bring up one business unit or, one department to handle the platform. Okay. So, and build up the collaboration with other, departments.
Yeah. Even integrating accounting.
Yeah, exactly. So, internal organization, will treat technology as a platform and build up the collaboration, to let the different department, different function, even cross customer segmentation, right? Like retail, like corporate together. And in technology itself, usually they will start to separate the infrastructure and the application team, right? Why that's important? Because the infrastructure is going to be on premise to multiple cloud, all right? So the infrastructure is become quite different from before. You buy a box and you get the vendor's support. But today you probably have to have your people to identify the problem. You have to the tech engineer, they can do some coding because most of the box is open source. They have open API. So I think technology will separate infrastructure and application development very clear. And the infrastructure will support not just on premise but also public cloud, even reach to mobile devices on the customer side,
right? Very critical.
And in the application development team, they will change is by the business organization, right? They will co-work with the business, very, very closely, right? And even some of the development will moving to the business function, because the democratize of technology, right? And data analysis as well, right? So infrastructure data is going to be like cloud services, right? To serve the whole organization. So, we can see, I think the trend, in China, obviously very, very clear.
Great. Well, that's great input. KT Chan. Thank you for joining us today and giving us your expertise. I think the one thing that's very clear from a Chinese banking system perspective. Thank you very much for sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.